And great to have everybody back here with the semi-finals of Week 2. This is the Unsquashable Premier League in Auckland at Squash XL. Lots of players who are some of the best domestic young players around New Zealand, able to play on this glass court under level 2 conditions in New Zealand. This first match underway. And the two players that we have on court. In the, I guess we'll call him the grey and blue shirt, is Mason Smales, who's a 15-year-old, does have a PSL ranking already. He's the left-hander. Got plenty of talent, plenty of racket skills. It's just a matter of him playing against these older players and getting used to it a bit more. He didn't play in the week 1. And the other player on the court there, the right-hander, is Glenn Templeton, 18-year-old. With a ranking of 357. Other matches today will be the other plate matches. Michael Shelton-Agar against Jack Condor, the pinball, throws himself around the court. And then the two main semi-finals. That is the top-seeded or top-ranked player, Joel Ascott, the 20-year-old, ranked at 235, up against Leo Fatialofa, the 17-year-old, at 380, and that'll be a top contest. And the final match of today will see another good one. Tenwa Chalisi, the winner of their first tournament, 19-year-old, 337 in the world, up against Elijah Thomas, the 17-year-old, who's 257. So a couple of good semi-final matches coming up a little bit later on. So much better performance here by Mason Smales than yesterday. He was a little bit shell-shocked against Joel Ascott. You can see from the left-hander, does have plenty of skills, able to hold the ball quite nicely. And we want to say thank you very much to all the people who have listened and watched over the last couple of days and also last week. Hope you're enjoying some different kind of squash, some good quality squash, and a little bit of character on the court as well, particularly from people like Jack Condor, Leo Fatialofa with his athleticism, and players like Elijah Thomas, who's been coached by Carol Owens in the past. So the rules in New Zealand at the moment under level 2 do allow for gatherings of 10 or more in big facilities. A nice play there by Glenn Templeton, just working his way into the match. And Squash XL in Auckland is a big facility. Two of the players actually live here and train here. That is Tenwa Chalisi and Joel Ascott. They live here. There's already been a story done on them on one of the national TV sports news programs. And that is thanks to John Duggan, the owner of the venue. Nice touch there by Mason Smales. You can see the left-hander is, I guess, what you could call the typical left-hander hold. Remember, he is just 15 years old. Not that his opponent, Glenn Templeton, is that much older at 18. Oh, great shot. On the volley, cross court. Oh yes, and of course Glenn Templeton is the boss baby. Last week we figured out who Boss Baby was. An animated character called Templeton. Shot. And wraps up the first game. And competitive in that one. So we do have some nicknames as well. We have Boss Baby, we have the Pinball and Jack Condor, we have Panda and Tenwa Chalisi. I'm sure we'll come up with a few more along the way. So that is the first game going to Glenn Templeton of the first match, semi-final day. Back with the second game very shortly.
Jack, is Michael coming?
Nice movement by Glenn Templeton back in the rally. With a lot of the young players, you're not going to see the strategic rally of playing down the backhand side all the time. You'll see a little bit of spontaneity, particularly with people like Mason Smith and Leo Federer. As Joel Ascot commented, or maybe it was Timo commented about someone like Leo Farialofa, they're shot makers. They're not going to stay up there all day. They're going to try and win the point rather than wait for the error. There you go, a little bit of patience, just took his time. And Glenn Templeton, very good on his backhand side, and up close, and to control the ball. Has that extra reach. In fact, all of the players here are quite tall, Templeton in particular. Templeton again staying consistent. And this game's just couldn't get out of the way of that one. At least it wasn't a straight drive as such. It didn't go too hard. And there we go. A powerful backhand of Templeton winning on that point there. Moving along nicely in this, the second game. Now, an interesting comment from Clive Pollard, how some states in Australia do have courts open. I think that's Western Australia and Northern Territory for training but not matches. So here in New Zealand, all squash courts are open. So you can go and have a hit with your mate, or you can do training, as long as it's not massive crowds. And many people certainly rejoiced as soon as they were able to go and have a hit with their mate, have a game, do a little bit of training after being relatively locked up for quite a number of weeks. To get out there and have a hit against your mate. Certainly a lot of people are very happy about that. The same goes with tennis and other racket sports. Shot. Oh, well picked up. And for anybody who doesn't think that Glenn Templeton moves well, you can just see that he can cover the court very well. Nice play. The backhand is really the strength of Glenn Templeton in many ways. He wins more points from it than he does actually from his forehand. Well, that's what it looks like. Every time you see him play, it seems to be the backhand is his strength. Opportunity to take this the second game for Templeton. 10-6 at the moment, but again Mason Smales is showing he's got shots just like that. It's a matter of as a 15-year-old. Can he become consistent and perhaps fitter? But he is 15. Let's remember that. So the second game they're going to Glenn Templeton. Leads now by 2 games to love. This is the first of 4 matches today. The second match will be Michael Shelton-Agar against Jack Condor, the pinball, Joel Ascot against Leo Fadilova, and then Temwa Chalisi against Elijah Thomas. Those are the 4 matches coming up today.
That's the problem. There's a problem with a lot of is the spot on it. It's just amazing how much.
I know, because I only eat fresh. Well, I do eat fresh, so I only eat fresh. I try to only eat fresh if I can. But yeah, so I have so there's there's all the waste from that. But yeah, I just look at them and think, I get really annoyed. But I don't say anything to them, but in my mind I just like, what's wrong with people? Exactly. Get your little thing out and start cooking.
go, Mace. Fire up, son.
Come on, mate, this one's yours.
On to the third game of this, the first match. Day 2 of the second week of the Unsquashable Premier League. It is Mason Smales against Glenn Templeton. The 15-year-old Mason Smales against the 18-year-old Glenn Templeton. Templeton taking the first 2 games. A nice play there by Mason Smales, just using his control. Although, as I say control, he isn't able to bounce the ball for the serve. And later on today, we'll be joined by Timwa Chalishi and Joel Ascott for some of the matches. We just want to see a bit more running from Mason Smales. We know he's got the talent with the racket. What can he do to cover the court as well? A shot. You can see what Mason Smales is aiming to do. It's just a matter of the execution at times, possibly a little rushed. So he's got the skills. It's a good play, guiding it through. And staying in this third game, Mason Smales, he's there. Let's see whether he can keep it consistent. He's got the court. So well done there. Playing the point well. Oh, not quite. Nice play, dominating the middle and having the choice of wherever he wanted to go on that volley. Well done there to Glenn Templeton, keeping it consistent, waiting for the mistake from his younger opponent. Templeton is the New Zealand junior champion. He beat Roger Thomas in 5 games in the final last year in Auckland. Quite an amazing comeback in that particular match. And certainly staying in this match is Mason Smales, or in this particular game. Quite a tall left-hander for 15. He'll be around about the 6-foot mark, if not a little bit taller. well done there to Glenn Templeton, taking the match in straight games. That was 11-8, 11-6 and 11-8. 20-minute game, defeating his 15-year-old opponent, Mason Smales. The next contest coming up not too far away is Michael Shelton-Agar up against Jack Condor. That'll be a fun match. With Condor, we know that he loves to run, dive, impale himself on the wall, the pinball. He is 17 years old from Auckland against Michael Shelton-Agar, 21-year-old, the oldest player in this competition. In fact, it really is for the young ones, all trying to, or aiming to make a living from squash in various ways. So that game will be coming up in just around about 5-10 minutes, so not too far away. And then, of course, the big semi-finals, Joe Lascott against Leo Fatialofa and Temwa Chalisi against Elijah Thomas, both later on today. Hey champ, how are we?
Good. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, not too grim.
It's on already.
Yeah, we're just in gear. Jack's up shortly.
Cool. Hey, mate. Hey, mate. Hello. Good, thank you. How are you? That's good.
plenty on, I have to say. How about yourself? How's the music? It gets quiet, right?
Yeah.
Bit of recording going on?
Yeah, recording's going.
Yeah. How's it going?
Yeah, so it's just I think we'll be back to work maybe in a couple of weeks or something.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just sort of from here, it's like it's too small to be living in, is it?
So it's back. I'm just winding up.
Yeah, well, I guess there's no point having a band talking about how people in the venue, right? It's kind of, which is grim for you guys, I know, but it's just pretty realistic, isn't it?
It's been quite nice actually. But
Oh, you must be super fit then, bro.
I had why did you feel super clean on my I was just like trying to get the right on my size fit to get it.
Oh, yeah.
Really nice. After you know work doing all that stuff and all that.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, that's a bit, you know, going out riding is so much better because you just do, you can't do the pace without realising it, don't you? Yeah.
No, I can hear me. No, because
Yeah, nice.
the guy's contacting. There's nothing wrong with him. Not anyway. Trying to get if it's too well, it's good anyway. You know, it's like,
Oh, that's really nice.
I mean, I like all the guys in police, so.
It's not good. No.
They're like the best stuff.
You come back to our club, my club yet? You come back to my club yet? You still
No, no,
Right. Alright, but you can do this game. I said right the other week, but shit.
I drove back to Brendan's a month or a month. Well, there's no cousins. Just keep going. Well, I think Matt Taylor from Home Bay is trying to organise that's like open cousins.
Oh my god. Just have it later in the year. This will be like 3 or 4 years. Yeah, just do it not. When do you normally have it?
It's normally
Like now?
yes, right. That's what it is.
Next week, yeah. So why not have it? So why not have it? No, I'm not doing this one. Stuff.
That's normally next week.
No, I'm not talking to you, man. It's not all about you. It's not always all about you. Sometimes other people.
Why don't you just have it organised? It makes sense for the later weekend. There's nothing that's on. Yeah, there's somebody outside the district. Really, someone else in Paget. That's what they need to do. Let's open up.
What he said was, it's okay to cancel because those clients will come back. See what I mean? Don't cancel super cheap, and then you do.
I can see his point. It's like,
It's not right. Why cancel?
we don't have anything here. So why not have it this year?
Against shit. There's like five of them are junior. There's two accounts. Five of them are junior. Two are masters. There's only one. There's nothing else.
And to me,
don't want to change it, don't do it. But it doesn't affect the competition.
No.
But the answer is happening. It's just a mindset. I mean, obviously, you have to find out to do things safely. You don't just not do it.
And it's like if you put it off for 6 months or whatever, it's supposed to be like, I put it off for 4 months. I'll still be having enough time to train. They'll have something to do because it's not free. At the end of the year. Totally. Because what will happen is people might just turn to Blue lose some people.
Exactly. I mean,
I just think, I mean, I make it having all the job and then they can have an input can be somebody from outside of the
there's no effort to me. I don't really understand.
Well, if you want to have it here, I'll help you out with it. No,
No, I understand. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
I don't necessarily mean roofing. I mean,
No, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I just think,
you're so
you know,
short-sighted.
we want to do more stuff, not less stuff, sure.
Well, let's keep the same amount. Let's just get this stuff in. I just can't get off your backside. It's like a 9 to 5 job for them, and that's it. And it's not. I'm sorry, squash is not. It's never has been.
Now back with the second match of this, the semi-final day at the Unsquashable Premier League at the Squash XL venue. We should see a very entertaining match here with Jack Condor, the 17-year-old, in the white, and in the blue shirt there is Michael Shelton-Agar, the 21-year-old. Already. The racket skills there behind the back shot, and that's just in the second point. Now, from what we've seen from Jack Condor last weekend, yesterday as well, we think he's like a pinball bouncing off the walls, albeit yesterday he didn't quite bounce, he's stuck to it. Even if he doesn't have the most beautiful shots, sometimes he does certainly give it everything, and that's what you want to see in any competitor. Nice slice. Nice touch again from Jack. You're not going to get into much rhythm against him because he will give you unorthodox shots and chase everything. Nice touch. You can see the raw energy of Jack Condor, and it's well done. He is entertaining, so hopefully everybody watching can see this very entertaining player. Take to the court. Shelton Agar yesterday appeared to be a little bit subdued. And the way he played, he's usually a bit more enthusiastic with a bit more energy. Let's see what he can give us today. But certainly Jack Condor, as a junior, you want to grab someone with that talent and with that energy and see what you can do with it. And nicely played so far for Jack Condor with the 5-3 lead. A couple of amazing, almost reckless, but they came off shots. Good coverage. Shelton Agar looked as though he was there, but not quite. So 6-3. The pinball, Jack Condor. And wouldn't it be great for most of us to have the energy that Jack Condor can give out on the court there? Quite phenomenal. Nice play. Good burst. And what we've been talking about yesterday and also last week is that the ball does drop into the corners. It's not quite as cold today as it was last night. It's more afternoon at the moment, right about 4 o'clock. Chilly day. But certainly yesterday or last night the ball was dropping right into those corners. And feel free to let us know if you would manage to get onto the squash court for training or a game. Some states in Australia are open to squash. Nice play. Worked the point well there for Shelton Agar. 2 more matches later on today as well. Joel Ascott and Leo Fadialova. That will be very entertaining. As will Tony Chilisi against Elijah Thomas. Should be quite a long match, that one. And a nice rally with some hard hitting there, a little bit of physical contact as well. And Shelton Agar coming back into this first game after a early lead. Jack Condor now down the backhand side. See how consistent we are. Who's going to change direction? Oh. So some confusion there. But in the end, we now have 9-all. And the referee, Heather Finlay, just confirming 9-all. Spot down the line again and out. And the players using these tournaments as a way of getting back into the season, getting back into the sport after nearly 8 weeks away from squash and away from tournament play. And a nice play there for Jack Condor, the 17-year-old, taking the first game 11-9 over Chattanooga. So some entertaining play, particularly a good start there for Jack Condor, and then Chattanooga coming back and making it quite close in the end. So that was the first game to Jack Condor, 11-9.
I've seen punishment.
And so far, an entertaining first game, 11-9 to Jack Condor against Chattanooga. Oh, you can just see the shots coming sometimes. He really is a player to watch, perhaps a little frustrating at times. Someone whose enthusiasm is truly infectious. Jack Condor, the 17-year-old from Titirangi Club, and Chattanooga, 21 from Remuera Rackets Club, a very big tennis squash facilities club in Auckland. If there's anybody from the Remuera Rackets Club who is watching, please let us know. It'd be great to know that you're out there. Oh, great volley. And off the back wall twice, but not this time. Well played, Chattanooga. It may not always be beautiful, but it's great to watch. Very entertaining. Be nice if we were allowed a crowd, but under rules and regulations, we don't have a crowd just yet. shot, chopping it, keeping the underspin there. So when it hit the wall, came back and stayed very, very low. What we're seeing here, folks, may not be the highest ranked players, but it is players who are giving it heaps. And not much you can do about that as well. Good reach. Where's it going to go? He's up front. And down the backhand side again to steady the point. He's going to change direction. A lot of effort put into that rally. Didn't quite come off in the end. And calling for the lip. So let's see whether Shelton Agar can make use of this lead, a narrow lead all there. Control of the rally at the present time. Ooh, great touch though from Jack Condor again. Don't forget the semi-finals coming up, not too far away. Joel Ascott against Leo Fadil. That will be fun to watch. And Temwa Chalisi against Elijah Thomas. Well played. Just steps forward, plays it through on the backhand. Very nice. Gives himself a long ball. Ooh, too much though. Alright, so the call is long. Short and long calls here. It's entertaining viewing, particularly when Temwa Chalisi went short yesterday against Jack. Not sure if there's anybody else out there who does play short and long, and if they enjoy it. handball. Expect Sheldon Agar to go cross very shortly. Instead he does the dip. Shop. Well done. So that is the second game to the youngster, Jack Condor. And takes a 2-love lead over Michael Sheldon Agar. And this is the second match of day 2, week 2 of the Unsquashable Premier League.
Actually, get out there, son. Go on. Go on.
Yep. 15 seconds, yeah. I know. Next week he'll do something different. Just for me to get the hang of it.
And coming back now for the third game. And if you're wondering what a 13-10 is for a scoreline, it is the short and long. So we get to 10 all, and the players get a choice of, well, do you want next point wins, which is the short, or do you want long, which is take it to 13. Makes for a bit of fun. And a little bit of confusion in week 1. But it does make for entertainment when players say, well, let's go short. And anyone could take it. So at the moment it is the pinball. Jack Condor, who has got a 2 sets to lead over Michael Sheldon Agar in the blue shirt. So Jack Condor in the white, Sheldon Agar in the blue. And coming up not too far away, it'll be Joel Ascott, who's got the top ranking of 235 against Leo Fatialofa. That should be a good contest with Fatialova, a very good athlete. And the completion of today's play will be Timur Chilish at 337 against Elijah Thomas at 257. And feel free to leave any comments about the performances of these two players, particularly the pinball, Jack Condor, and just how much effort he puts into each point. It's 7-1. it's great to see. So Sheldon Agar has the significant lead in this, the third game. Although the first two games were won by Condor. Just seemed to have lost his step there and a bit more consistency. From Sheldon Agar, 9-1. Let's see if Condor can refocus on this one. And another good boast from halfway down the court. 11-1. So Sheldon Agar comes back and will take it to 4. The older man of the whole tournament at 21, winning the third game 11-1 over Jack Condor. So impressive there. No, this is not a replay. This is completely live right now in Auckland City in New Zealand at Squash XL, the Unsquashable Premier League. It is approximately 4:10 on Saturday afternoon in New Zealand, and we have another 2 matches to be played this evening or this afternoon as well. So live squash brought to you here by Unsquashable Premier League.
Seconds.
And now at the start of the 4th game, it is Sheldon Agar in the blue against Jack Condor in the white. Condor winning the first 2 games, 11-9 and 13-10, but dropping the third, 1-11. Top rally there between the players, really moving each other around the court. And again, Condor doing all the running. Just seems to have lost his zip a little bit, as Sheldon Agar seems to have got his. A nice touch on the back end, just guiding it through. Let's see if Jack Condor can come back a little bit after trailing 1-5. Sheldon Agar Agar. Oh, well played. Really getting up high to play it down, but not with much power, which negated the bounce. Sheldon Agar has a few unorthodox shots, which can be difficult for opponents. And that's another one. Sheldon Agar just able to hide the ball, disguise it. If you're playing against him, you would always be a little bit undecided, and then he does that. Well, that ruins the compliments I was about to give you, Sheldon Agar. Power on that serve. Oh. Really off the boil a little bit, Jack Condor, the pinball. Just appears to have lost his energy in this. And at this stage, we appear to be going to a 5, unless he can really pull something out of the hat here. All right, well, other than a miracle, we are going 5. One back. And 2 back. So 2 points back for Jack Condor, the 17-year-old. And nice play. That is the game. We're going 5, folks, between Michael Sheldon Agar and Jack Condor. It was Jack Condor taking the first 2, 11-9 and 13-10. But we now have Sheldon Agar coming back 11-1 and 11-6 in the 4th. We're going 5 between these two, and don't forget we still have 2 matches remaining. That is Joel Ascott against Leo Fatialofa and Temwa Chalisi against Elijah Thomas. So 2 very good matches to come. And just remember, we don't really have a crowd in this pavilion at the present time because we're only allowed the players and just a few other people. There are restrictions on gatherings in New Zealand. We're at level 2. Level 1 shouldn't be too far away, possibly be within the next week when we are allowed some crowds. It is a big venue at Squash XL. With the 8 competitors and the referee and just a few other people. Not a lot of crowd noise. But great to have you here watching and looking at live squash. It is very live indeed. Coming back for the 5th game in just a moment. And it's game 5 between Jack Condor in the white and Michael Shelton-Agar in the blue. A real turnaround in this match, with Condor taking the first two, 11-9, 13-10. Nice play. Shelton-Agar, though, coming back, 11-1, 11-6. All the energy of the 17-year-old Jack Condor, the pinball, appearing to disappear. What are we looking at there, folks? Any thoughts on that one? We told you that you were in for an entertaining match, and it is entertaining. And the referee, the official, Heather Finlay, having a chat to the players. No one's played a squash tournament for 7 to 8 weeks until last weekend. And Shelton-Agar now out to 3-love. Not doing anything too spectacular. Oh, a nice shot down the line. Good pick up. Nice play. Set himself up very well for that. The backhand cross court deep into the backhand corner where the ball does fade a little bit. Again, a good touch. Going forward, racket out in front. And just being able to drop the ball right in short. So live squash brought to you from Squash Excel in Auckland and the Unsquashable Premier League. A lot of errors creeping in now for Jack Condor. And the pinball Jack Condor did have a tough contest last night where he probably did hurt himself crashing into the back wall a couple of times. One in particular left his mark. So whether or not he's hurting, he's a very popular player as Jack Condor. Even his opponents like playing against him. They know they're going to get a real contest, albeit that in this particular game he appears to have faded a little bit. Let's see if we can come up with a comeback for Jack Condor. It's going to be tough. Close to the wall, and then the big marker across. Oh, had him there. Had plenty of options for Shelton-Agar. Nice play. Jack Condor just keeping it low. stayed in. Quite a physical rally, this one. Ooh. And Cheltenham with the chop. And using the ball very well, and the volley. 9-4. Again, let's see if Cheltenham, usually with the high serve. Hugging the wall. Oh, good play, good reach. Nice little dink, well done. So here we go, match ball. After being 2 games down, a nice comeback from Cheltenham and great direction there. Well done. Good play, 5 games. It took 38 minutes and 5 games there for Cheltenham to defeat Jack the Pinball Condor, and well played. We'll have another match coming up in just a few moments' time, and that'll be Joel Ascot against Leo Fatialofa in the semi-final. That one should be very good.
Not being a coach, what happened like in the last couple of matches? Did Michael through that much? Jack just
Well, Michael started moving a lot better. He was very stiff yesterday and was pretty slow. And he actually fired up, I think, and really he started to read Jack's game. You know, like, because Jack's pretty predictable, doesn't really have any holds or variation.
okay.
So, and then I think Jack lost a little bit of accuracy, and then
Totally.
Michael could just pick him off. That's the simplest synopsis I can give.
Well, that's right, because I don't know a lot of coach, you know.
are now underway for this, the third contest of the semi-finals. Semi-finals day here at the Unsquashable Premier League Squash XL, the only permanent glass court in New Zealand. Leo Fatialofa, the 17-year-old, in white, and Joel Ascott in green and black. Joel Ascott is the 20-year-old with a PSA ranking of 235. Fatialofa is 17 and a PSA ranking of 380. What you'll probably see in this contest is athletic ability of Fatialofa and the way he likes to go for his shots no matter where he is, against Ascott, who's perhaps more of a, hesitate to use the word grinder, but he will not hesitate to play a longer rally in the traditional sense of the game. Nice play, look at that, chopping that through, taking off the pace, hitting the wall and then effectively dying the bounce of the ball. Don't expect too many backhands down the line from Fatialofa. He tends to like the cross court on the backhand side. And as you've seen already, he's happy to go for his shots. You're going to get a wide variety of play. Too much. Fatialofa is certainly over 6 foot tall. Joel Ascott maybe just under. Most of these players do have a little bit of height on their sides. And great to have everybody watching. We're expecting. Oh, picked up. We're expecting a good contest between these players. But a fast start so far from Fatialofa. He tends to do that. He tends to work hard, get those early points. It's a matter of whether he can actually sustain them. Let that one go. Nice play, Joel Ascott. Managed to take the front of the court, control it. Yep. He recovered well to get the ball in the backhand corner, but then gave it back to Ascott, who was able to put it away. Great touch. And Fatialofa, a prefect at Auckland Grammar, which is quite an honour. Lives in West Auckland and gets the train to school. He's from the Henderson Squash Club, very much a family club. In fact, I think every single person from his family belongs to the club. So with the 5-point lead, and Fatialofa You can see the talent coming through. Can he harness it to take it further with PSA points? He's in his last year at high school. Nice rally, hugging the walls on the backhand side. There's the cross court that he likes. Good play by Ascot. A nice recovery from Fatialofa. Back in the rally again now. So anybody watching, let us know what you think about these two players and the way they perform, particularly the way that Fatialofa is moving around the court. So a mini comeback by Joel Ascot here. He was down considerably. And nice recovery again. No let on that one. Any thoughts on that, folks? Let or no let? And so he's worked his way back into this first game as Joel Ascot. He was looking down and out almost. Let's just see. He's got a little bit fired up after a call, didn't quite go his way. We'll find today and tomorrow, if the calls don't go their way, there's a bit more tension on the referee, Heather Finlay, and a lot more calls than what we had yesterday. So the fast start by Fatialofa seems to have faded away completely. Running. Oh, nice change of direction. Well played. So from being 5 points down, he's now 1 point away from the first game as Joel Ascot. And well done. So Joel Ascot takes the first, and that is 11-9 after being down, down a long way. It was 8-3 or something significant like that, but worked his way back in. And Fatialofa, the fast start, not quite working in his favour. So we're coming back with a second game, but not too far away. So game 2 underway. Joel Ascot ranked 235 in the world in the green and black, and in the white, Leo Fatialofa. This is the first of the semi-finals. The second semi-final will feature Tenwa Chalisi against Elijah Thomas. Chalisi winning his first PSA satellite earlier this year. And Elijah Thomas making the final of his first one. And looks like we've just been joined by Jack Condor.
Hey there, guys.
So there we go, we have Jack joining us. And we'll give us some thoughts on this particular match. We're into the second game. The first game being won by Joel Ascot, 11-9. Jack, well, congratulations on a entertaining match, but it just the energy today didn't appear to be there in the final sets.
You know, all throughout the match, just didn't feel you know, as explosive onto the ball, and the reactions weren't quite there. But Mike played really well, so congratulations to him. So come back tomorrow and give it a good shot again.
All right, so for people who don't know, Jack Condor, 17-year-old. He's from the Tarangi Tennis and Squash Club. And practicing a lot of late. Nice rally here, though, down the backhand side. There we go, there's the cross-court that we see from Fatialofa a lot. And well
Good shot
played.
by Joel.
So the description, Jack, of Fatialofa was a shot maker.
Yeah,
Would you
yeah.
agree with that?
Definitely. When it's there, even when it's not there, he'll go for it. You know, anything he wants to go for, he'll go for. Nothing will stop him. And I think we could say that most of the time those shots do come off pretty nicely.
Yeah. Very athletic.
Definitely. Very good explosiveness onto the ball.
He looks as though he could play just about any sport. Just one of those guys you say, oh, he could just play anything.
Definitely.
And with someone like Joel, you're going to get a more orthodox squash game, aren't you?
Yeah, he's going to try and set the rally up down the wall, most likely on the backhand, and then take it to the front like he did just then with the volley and then a drop. But yeah, very structured player.
Well, I guess with people like Leo and Michael, who you played, and even yourself, sometimes it can be difficult to play against you because the opponent never knows what's coming next.
Yeah. We're all got different game styles. You know, with me, I don't particularly set the rally up that well, but you know, I go for a shot when it's on, and I'm just trying to get all the balls back. I'm just running around the court, hence the name pinball. But everyone's got their different styles, and it happens to work for, you know, on the day it'll work for them. We've got to adapt sometimes and play a little bit differently, but it's good length by Leo.
Well, the other thing about Leo, he does disguise his shots quite
Yeah.
well, doesn't he?
He's got a very good hold, especially on the backhand. I've been called out on that a few times, I'll say that.
Because if the two of you played quite a lot?
Not as much as, not that much, but we've trained together a little bit, and you've really got to be watching those balls all the time, every time Leo's in front, because he will just hold and flick you every time.
Nice play from Joel Ascot up there, controlling the front. A little bit warmer today, and we are in the afternoon, whereas last night it was cool and the ball was dropping a
It was
lot.
quite cold last night, actually. When you're going short, it would just die off. So sometimes that would work, but sometimes it wouldn't be in your favour as well.
You can can almost read that Leo will do 2 shots, maybe 3 down the line on the back inside
Yeah.
before he goes cross court.
Definitely.
It's just,
If it's there, he's gonna do something with it. That's for sure.
nice play. Well played, Joel Ascot. Jack, you're 17, you turn 18 later on this year, is that right?
Yeah, in December. So
What?
a little while.
Yeah. Covered very well. Let's see what he can do now, Fabio Lofa.
There's a lot going on up.
Yeah.
A lot going on up front at the moment in this game.
Have you finished high school or are you still in
No,
high school?
last year at high school, yeah.
Mount Albert?
Yeah.
Mount Albert Grammar, you did very well as a team last year, from what I can
Yeah,
remember.
yeah. It was a good. What happened there? Yeah, first year at secondary schools last year in year 12 actually. So it's good to get a win,
Yeah.
and we're just hoping it's going to be on again this year, just so we can go and compete again. There's a
that's-
few good schools. Auckland Grammar have got a very good team.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, obviously the Trans-Tasman was cancelled,
Yeah.
and also the tournament in Tauranga for the juniors
Yeah,
was
yeah.
cancelled as well. Now we hope with anybody watching around the world, we know we've got some fans in Australia who have been enjoying this contest so far. Fabio Lofa against Ascot. We know we have... that was well finished, wasn't it?
Yeah, very well finished by Joel there.
So game 2, and Joel Ascot winning that one relatively comprehensively compared to the first. The first was 11-9, this one more straightforward. And Jack, for you, next year, have you started thinking about that yet, whether it's squash or
Yeah. So,
college? Or
most likely go to Auckland Uni and gonna do like a Bachelor of Commerce conjoint with the Bachelor of Property and keep training as well at the same time.
Yep.
So that should be good.
And have you, you've been involved in the juniors, you've been brought into the national squads a little bit, or you've been
Yeah,
training
yeah.
with them a bit more?
More recently in the last, I guess, 2 years or so, I've been in those squads a bit more. Before that, not so much, but it's good to be in those squads and training with those top juniors.
All right, great stuff. We'll be back with the third game in just a moment between Leo Fatialofa and Joel Ascot. Ascot currently leading by 2 games to love. And now back for the third game between Joel Ascot and Leo Fatialofa. It's Joel Ascot leading 11-9, and what was the second there? 11-5, I think. But it's the consistency and the way he set up points that That's been the key for Joel Ascot so far. And with me, Jack Condor has played a couple of entertaining matches so far this tournament. You feel that you're back into squash after last week's tournament?
Yeah, I am feeling a lot better this week. Actually, felt a bit unfit last week and quite sore after my matches, but I'm actually feeling quite good this week. A bit of training, so it's just really good to be back on court playing again. You know.
So this is where these 4 weeks are really beneficial for people like yourself, or all the players really.
Yeah, definitely good for players like me who are, probably closest to the bottom of the draw, one of the weaker guys who get to play these higher matches. So it's really good to play them.
And Joel Ascot always who asked the question. The thing is, after last year's final, a few people actually asked him, what's it like to live with someone who gets grumpy with you and that you beat?
Yeah.
But generally off the court, he is he's competitive on the court, but he's quite passive off the court.
Yeah. I've always wondered what it would be like losing a match and then having to sleep in the same room with that guy that night.
There's someone you just beat,
Yeah.
I guess you got a lot of space in this one.
Yeah. Leo's going for a shot in this game. It's paying off at the moment.
Well, it almost seems that he has too many options sometimes.
Yeah.
He gets
I think sometimes he doesn't know what to do, and he's got everything going through his head. It's a good shot.
Yeah. Get pretty low on the backhand side, and then managed to lift it just over the tin, and again hit and stayed low.
Yeah, good shot.
So he knows where to hit it now. Down that backhand line. Keep it low.
It's working well, definitely.
Yep. That's the thing with Joel's game, is that he calculates what he's got to do.
Yeah. He
And
sets everything up very well.
Yeah, against someone like Fadi Lofa, you've got to think, okay, don't let him play his game.
Yeah. If you get sucked into that game, then it's going to be very hard to get out of.
Yep.
Definitely not afraid to go for his shots, that's for sure.
I wonder if it's more difficult to coach a player like Fadi Lofa or coach a player like Ascot.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, actually. I guess, you probably can't tell him what to do as much. He's just going to go for stuff when he wants to.
Yeah. Nice touch. That's better. It was much better play, more thoughtful play.
Yeah.
The temptation would have been to really whack a winner.
Yeah,
instead.
cross court. Great shot by Leo there.
Yep. Every now and then he just pulls them out. You wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
He's down considerably, then 2 top shots. It's the shot every player wants to do, isn't it?
Yeah. Not many people get those ones back because they're just not expected at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, good shot.
Go. 11-7. Well done there to Joel Ascot. In straight games in the end, although it wasn't easy, particularly that first game. So through to the final again for the second week in a row. That is Joel Ascott, the player with the best PSA ranking, and in fact it's 235 in the world. So well done there to Joel Ascott on his home court as such. In fact, all of the courts here is home courts. He lives here alongside Temwa Chalisi. And Jack Condor, just before we let you go, your surname's pretty well known around the Titirangi Tennis and Squash Club, right?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. A few generations, my granddad, playing there, my dad playing there, both tennis and squash. My auntie.
I think I probably played against your dad or someone like that
probably.
in tennis.
My auntie, she was a top tennis player as well. So
And that's probably the
sort
name
of,
too.
sort of just been all through the family, and yeah, it's real good.
Yeah, it tends to be the case, isn't it, with particular sporting clubs where generations
Yeah,
and
yeah.
families stay around. A question from one of our friends in Australia who says, how's your face? Well, we should actually point out that Jack's face was wiped off the glass, the back
Yep.
wall, today.
Yeah, I'm alright.
You felt that one, right?
Yeah, it was more so the right knee actually.
Oh,
It took me a few seconds to get off that wall actually. Didn't quite bounce off it, but
no.
yeah, I'm alright today.
Yeah, what we're referring to was the match last night, Temwa Chalisi against Jack Condor, and Jack threw himself around the court, and for one particular shot deep in the backhand corner, he ended up putting his body into the wall effectively, and had to prise his own face off the wall. We mean this in a nice way, and I think you can understand that, Jack. It was,
Yeah.
You were kind of stuck there for a little while, so
Yeah.
yeah, it was entertaining, and I
Yeah.
think that's the thing. Everybody who's been watching has really enjoyed the way you give it everything.
Yeah, it's sort of just my game style. Just try and be as determined as possible and get every ball back. So I just find it fun fighting. Even like today when I was down 8-love, still got to try and fight back. So
Yeah.
that's probably one of the main parts of my game.
Well, for you, you've got one more match tomorrow, and that'll be against Mason Smale. So
Yeah.
that'll be interesting because he holds the ball very well, being the left-hander.
Yeah.
Might not run everything down, but he certainly holds the ball, and you sort of think he's got those hands.
Yeah, we've had a few. I think the last 3 matches we've played actually have gone to 5, so it should be interesting. Should be a really good match. Fellow Mags boy, so
Oh, that's
we're
right.
pretty good mates. That should be a lot of fun.
All right, good stuff. And no, people have enjoyed watching you play, and Jack, we appreciate it, and we'll look forward to watching you tomorrow.
Sweet, thank you.
Cheers. So coming up very shortly, the final match of the day, and that is Temwa Chalisi against Elijah Thomas. So look forward to that in just a few minutes' time.
Very frustrating game for the others, I'm guessing.
Even like the first and second game, I just like felt like where didn't seem to be doing it properly or something. I don't know. Shooting really fast.
I saw you trying to follow through and lift and get it, but you just weren't hitting the ball as clean.
Yeah.
And you were kind of rolling over a little. You weren't kind of holding the face off it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Too much technical in the game. Yeah, and that's sort of.
Seeing everything like left and right, just
Yeah.
like weird.
But look, it is what it is. I think sometimes you just have to try and, like always in sport, anything in sport, you've got to try and find the best you can out of your play on the day. So you can't always find it. Sometimes you have to learn and then use it next time. Kind of thing. I know it sounds like a cliche, but it's true. He's difficult to play because he got into that thing really good. He was just reading you and he was slotting. Yeah. I mean, the problem was you weren't. Because the thing is, like, you don't have any hold or, any sort of variation about you. You've got no body deception or anything like that. So once it gets into a rhythm, if you're not breaking up his rhythm, then his shooting quality is quite good.
Yeah.
Once you start breaking him up and stretching him, then it falls apart kind of thing. But, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Better next time. Yeah, well, got to beat Mason. Got to beat him, son. That will be a bit of a pressure for you. Not the underdog anymore, suddenly the favourite. Yeah, well, you just saw like what Glenn was doing. Obviously, Henry was back in. Glenn was very physically dominant across the middle.
Yeah.
So he was holding him off. So whenever Mason didn't hit a decent length, he was quite big at holding him off. So it took pressure off his volley drop or his short volley because he was taking the space, you know.
Yeah.
And often that's as important as hitting a good shot. This is going to be huge, bro. Well, I hope so. Roger's 100%. He's so up to it. It's just really, really keen.
No idea. To be able to do fast gun, that's
I thought, you know, when Samson got his haircut, he lost his strength.
say about 5
Yeah. Look, honestly, it
Cost it.
looks like a total gumby. Let's go the panda. Come on, son. Jackson. Don't make it as a
Who
blow.
does this do that?
Oh, okay. There you go. Gotta reel him in. Pretty intense. Good lads.
got me excited then. It's just his long trousers on. So how many?
What size are those things? Well, Mason's worse, isn't it? Because he's like bigger feet. He's taller than me. It's getting no excuse for that, not being balanced.
So how many squash ball shirts do you have?
Me?
Yeah, 3?
A few. 6.
No, I was going to
No,
say
it's
'cause
definitely more than that. It's probably 12. He's got all of Louis' old ones and he steals all of mine.
do Louis not
I
take
used to have
his
like
with him?
20
That's
pairs of shorts.
terrible. He
There's the
just,
12 I do have, then there's the 12 that John doesn't know about.
Yeah, exactly. No, this is the thing. This is, and then there's the ones that's given to his dad. Yeah, exactly.
oh, I thought Louis would have taken his with him.
Oh, dear, yeah. All right, this is the match of the night. Let's go, lads. Come on, fire up.
And now welcome into this, the fourth game of the day of Week 2, the semi-finals of the Unsquashable Premier League. There have been some entertaining contests so far. We've had 1-5 game. That was won by Michael Shelton-Agar over Jack Condor. Entertaining contest that was indeed. Earlier on, we had Glenn Tibbleton defeating Mason Smales, and we've also had Joel Ascott with a win over Leo Fabiola in 3. And now for this, the semi-final between, in the blue, it is Elijah Thomas, and in the white, it is Timwa Chilisi. And joining me now, Joel Ascott. And Joel, your contest, your win, you've got to be pretty pleased with 3 over someone like Leo Fabiola.
Yeah, he's a dangerous kind of guy to play against. Great shot making, as you could see with some of those outright winners. So, yeah, I was 8-3 down the first game. So had to do a lot of problem solving, but very happy to get off in 3 and not make it harder than what it needed to be.
Yeah, because Fabiola is, as we've discussed, a shot maker.
Yeah.
That at any time he could go for that
Yeah,
shot.
it's very, very unpredictable to play against and not very pleasant, especially on the glass with how far the ball stays into those corners. Type of guy who can just get 5 points like this at the click of his fingers. So
This particular contest, though,
not so much. Yeah.
no, we're going to see. I was going to say legitimate squash. It's probably more squash.
Traditional.
Yeah,
Traditional, whatever you
yeah,
want to call it.
traditional. That's what we're after there.
We say it traditional, but that term's kind of changing in squash now with
Yes.
the Egyptians and the glass courts.
Well, it tends to be that even in the last 5 years, so many more players are taking the ball on the full, on the volley.
Oh, yeah.
And in the past, we let it
pace.
drop and play out the point.
It's just that the pace and the cut on the ball now, with the way these glass courts play, the top players, they're having to play a lot faster, and they want to take the ball before it gets to that back wall, because it dies off, and you want to be the first to take it short. So lots of volleying nowadays, more cut in the ball. You see it there, just taking the length really well.
So these two players, no doubt, have clashed a few times of late, or certainly they're very well known to each other.
Yeah. I don't think I've played too often recently, actually. But just a case of don't really seem to draw each other. But
Yeah.
similar results. Tim were winning one satellite in the summer series this year. Elijah making a final.
Yeah, that's right.
Elijah does have the high world ranking as
Yes.
well. So yeah, it's an interesting contest actually, because Tim was actually older. People that don't know. 2 years, I think,
Yeah, that's
or
right.
1 year maybe.
Yeah. Everybody's very close in this whole tournament,
Yeah.
really, when it comes to that.
I mean, yeah, we've said it time and time again, but the oldest person is 21, which is crazy to hear.
I like it, though,
It's good, yeah.
because in 2-3 years, everyone here could hopefully be ranked a lot higher.
Yeah, it's a nice crop of boys coming through, and it's great that got people like John supporting us, putting on tournaments like this where we can compete, and that crop can sort of get going and get some legs to it.
And there are other players around New Zealand as well. So
Yeah, of course.
This is
It's good depth, really.
nice.
And saw Paul Cole say it at Nationals in his winning speech that he thought the next crop of players was really good, because it's quite obvious too at the national events when you've got Paul and Campbell, in their late 20s, or I think Campbell early 30s, and then you got no one for about 5 to 6 years even, and there's about 7 or 8 of us. So it's very noticeable.
Yeah, there's Evan Williams, who's ranked around about 80, and
30, I believe.
there is a bit of a drop
Yeah.
to Lawamba, 150 or 160.
Again, Louis only 21.
Yeah, exactly.
Just turned 21 as well last month. So
Oh, and dying in that corner, hitting that back wall.
nice fist pump there from Elijah early on.
Exactly, and great to have people around the world tuning in. We have someone coming in from France, and great to have you. I know we've got quite a few people in Australia, including your father as well, Joel.
Yes, he is watching.
You know he would.
Avid squash fan.
He's in Queensland, is that
Brisbane, yep. He's in Brisbane.
right? Okay,
Good,
well, I know we have
good group of squash players in Brisbane. A lot of support in the local clubs there.
Well, Queensland, I don't think is open just yet. I know that Western
I think
Australia is.
I saw that recently, and the Northern Territory, I believe. They have a great squash centre up there. But yeah, Queensland, I think June it's open.
Yeah, I think they're saying June 13.
June, yeah, something like that. I think first
Please
or
correct
second
us
week of
if
June.
we're not correct there. Feel free to tell us.
On the horizon, no, which is good.
Right, so in this match here, it's been Elijah Thomas playing the better of this first game, keeping the zeros down. Nice.
I think Tim were struggling to find his length at the moment.
What you have is Elijah Thomas has grown in height.
Yeah.
The strength, I believe, will come
Yeah.
just with maturity. He's still 17.
Yeah. He's finished school now, so I'm expecting a he's had the growth spurt as he said, but I'm expecting some muscle mass to come through very shortly. He was in here doing his gym work the other day. Great shot from Timwa. Really whips those cross-court nuts in.
The thing is, with someone when you're 17, 18, you don't want to force the gym work.
No.
You let your body develop, and sometimes it can take longer, but he's got that height already.
I guess it's just sort of trusting the volume that you're doing, and it does come. You don't need to go too hard on the protein shakes as a squash player.
Well, for someone like yourself, who's we'll call you long and lean,
Yeah.
you're never going to be a bulky person.
No.
That's not really going
That's
to happen.
not what I'm playing squash for. Well, as long as I'm playing squash, I'm not going to be that any bigger than what I am.
So well played there. And the first game to Elijah Thomas against Temwa Chalisi. And a good game for Elijah. He'll be happy with that.
Yeah, he seemed very dominant in that game, finding those corners pretty well at the back of the court. Tim were a little bit flat-footed around the tee. You saw him fluff that last one, but not. Elijah seemed to be in front of him the majority of that game.
And it is the 13th of June that clubs in Brisbane can reopen. with a limit of 20 in the club at one time.
20.
Yeah, so I don't know, you know those clubs fairly well. That would seem quite...
That's a big restriction for the clubs in Brisbane. A lot of club players in those clubs, big memberships.
Clubs here in Auckland and around the country meant to have 10 gatherings, however you can have multiple gatherings. There's a lot of different rules that you can possibly get around if you're smart enough.
And it is changing all the time too.
In fact, it should be changing in a couple of days' time, potentially. The numbers of cases in New Zealand down into the low 30s. In fact, there was just one new case yesterday, and then for the 3 previous days there was no cases. The deaths have not moved from 21, which is good, although unfortunate for those 21 and their family and friends. So New Zealand at level 2 at the moment. Now we'll be coming back with the second game between, it's Temo Chalisi, the winner of the first week, up against Elijah Thomas. We'll be coming back with that game in just a moment. Away in the second game, and Temo Chalisi just a little bit off from what we'd expect initially, but then at the same time Elijah Thomas playing very well in that first game. Joel Ascott, you expecting anything different?
Yeah, I think for Temo it's about using more of that height on the front wall. You see it there. He's definitely got a little bit more emphasis on his shots and getting the reward there for a good length, which we didn't really see in the first game at all. But he's got some work to do, and doesn't want Elijah to get back in front of him.
Great shot. Using the change of direction, he had the advantage. Elijah Thomas running back into the middle.
Good passage of play from Temo. A lot of his points come from that forehand volley. Not necessarily winners, but 2 or 3 shots later, just the pressure of the way he hits it on that side. It's kind of like Simon Rosner for the people who know him. Tidy counter there from Elijah. One of his real weapons on that backhand side. He loves that shot.
Yeah. He set himself up there, Elijah. That Temo had the options to go anywhere.
Yeah, just leaving his counter a little bit loose, and Temo getting that cross court nice and wide. So a noticeable tactic already. Temo getting lots of width on his cross courts, trying to find those back corners first, but just forcing a touch there. See Elijah, he's always trying to take that volley on the backhand side. It's definitely one of his strengths on that left leg. It's almost kind of Nick Matthew-like with that racket out in front. just like that. There we see, always standing like on your shoulder, it feels.
Yes, that. I think correct call.
Yeah, a little bit maybe of uncertainty, a little bit of a pause, but a let nonetheless. Good to see Timwa play that one. He's on the front foot in this rally. Elijah Cunningham with the counter drive. All corner stuff.
Rally. Well done there to Timwa.
Very tired looking movement there. Maybe a bit of an uncomfortable one on that left leg from Elijah. But some serious movements in that rally for both the boys.
Yeah, looks a bit tight there, Elijah, at the moment. But certainly Timwa played that point very well.
Definitely getting that ball through the back a lot more regularly than the first game.
Nice play. Able to get back into it. Let's see if we can actually do the comeback here.
Timwa opting for the flick rather than the straight shot, not working out from that time.
The thing you notice with Elijah Thomas's game is that at times you want him to have just a bit more power to finish off the point. He gets himself into a position where he can possibly win the point, but maybe there's just not enough zing on some of those shots.
Yeah, it's quite noticeable when he's playing Timwa, isn't it? Just that power of the, not so much the length, because he's very good lengthwise. He overhits a lot of his length, as coaches would say, but just that raw power on his straight shots. Timwa thinking it's a stroke, Elijah thinking it's a no-let. Classic.
This play gets himself back in the rally.
Oh,
Well done, Tim.
Tim opting to play it. Again, hard movements, corner to corner.
Great rally by both players.
It's resetting down the backhand though. A bit unlucky there. It's definitely the right shot choice.
Well, it started out in the second game that Timwa had the significant lead and looked as though he was going to wrap it up. But a fight back.
Still a 2-point buffer though.
Well,
Again, I think Tim were just forcing that a little
too
bit.
careful.
Almost too much on it. When you want the shot to work so so badly, it often doesn't work in your favour. Good hold from Temwa.
Yeah. He ran too far forward, the ball passed him
Yep.
by and created the issue.
A lot harder for those shots to work when the front wall's as cold as what it is. Certainly a big battle down this backhand in the second game.
It's nice.
Similar situation.
Caught up in the corner, in the forehand corner, and it gives Elijah Thomas a point back.
Will Temwa go for the cross-court nick? Oh, he did. Not working out for him though.
Right decision?
I think definitely the right decision. That ball just coming back on
Yeah, well, there we go. We'll come back with the third in just a moment, but that is 2 games to 1. 2 games to love for Temwa Chalisi against Elijah Thomas. And back with the third in just a moment.
I just pretend it wasn't me. Time all the time. I forget all the time. It's like, oh, it's the same for both of us. It's like, seconds.
Give me Lance.
And into the third game between Elijah Thomas and Temwa Chalisi. 1 game all. Thomas taking the first, and Chalisi the second. His first rally, or first couple of rallies, been fairly full on. And Joel Ascott, hard to know where we'll go from here. We've had Thomas with the first, and Temwa playing a little bit better in the second, but quite close.
I think the momentum definitely shifted. The first game, everything Elijah did seemed to come off, and then kind of almost the opposite. But sort of finding a little bit of a rhythm at times in the second, but Temwa getting the better of him. So the third game, very interesting. see both the boys trying to take that ball really early on this set, trying to fire themselves up.
Keeping it close to the wall. Altering the pace. Who's going to be the first to go cross court?
Oh, great shot.
Oh, he kept his head there because he had a couple of opportunities, did Elijah, but the first two didn't quite come off. But the final, much better.
Managed to keep his foot on the throat for a long time now. Again, we see that straight counter on the front left from Elijah. Onto it early, racket out in front. Not much racket head speed, just pushing it in. Oh, great shot. Another one of Timur's weapons on his forehand. The Bose just holds his position really well, and as soon as you settle on the tee, all of a sudden the ball's going the other way.
And a number of high serves from Timur.
Here it is again. So a number of points coming from that corner for Elijah. Certainly a sign that he's a well-coached player, the way he takes it on this backhand side. You can see his stance on the tee every time. Racket out in front, body weight forward, knees slightly bent. A classic sort of English kind of style.
What is, since you're Trans-Tasman, almost come back to that. Nice. Now, Joel, since you're Trans-Tasman, what would you consider a New Zealand style? Is there a particular style?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty renowned for, obviously Paul's really set the tone almost and given us that reputation for quite physical players, but I think we are known for that in New Zealand and Australia. You know, remember back in the old 400s kind of days when you had Jeff Hunt and Rodney Isles and Rod Martin, all these guys. But certainly living in both countries, I'd have to say we're quite the physical kind of breed, always doing our early morning fitness sessions and certainly training at Excel as well. Get a fair taste of that. But I think both these boys are good examples of, highly trained, fit athletes.
So you've got Carol Owens has had influence over Elijah's game, the former world champion. I think we'll call her a New Zealander, even though Australians might call her Australian.
Yeah.
One of the things I find fascinating with squash, and every sport has its little idiosyncrasies, is that quite often the players, they don't necessarily argue with each other, but they both argue at the same time with the referee about the same thing.
It's like an unspoken thing in squash. Can't really speak for much other sports, but you always seem to argue with the ref, but never with each other.
Yeah.
It's a very rare sight that you'll see that on a squash court. Two players actually coming to blows.
It doesn't happen too often. It's like cage fighting.
Yeah, it's certainly got the gladiatorial feel to it, doesn't it? You know, you're locked in a cage essentially with one other person. Again, that battle of the backhand. Tim getting the better there.
Yeah, Elijah probably didn't need to try and take that on the full. Might have been better to let it bounce and then play your way back in.
Which is the downside of wanting to hunt that ball. Oh, he's got pretty lucky with
He's
that
got
one.
any racket left after that.
Big smile
Last
from
two.
Timwa. Always not nice to have that against you, but nice when it happens to you.
Somehow it came. Nice play. Top rally.
Gotta try and get back in front here, Elijah. Some height on the ball. There you go.
That's a good play. Was he going to go?
Oh, good. Yeah,
Yes,
good
nice.
play. Good play.
It's a great rally. Both players using the lob to get themselves back in. A couple of false shots initially from Tim Wachilisi, and Elijah Thomas working his way back into that. Was patient.
Just moving making his moves in a smart way. Tim was forced it there.
And there it is, 2-1 now. Elijah Thomas. Comments that when you said players don't usually come to blows, that Al-Shababi and Matthews almost came to blows a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean, definitely at that top
You
level.
wouldn't want to do that in Egypt. I think you'd have a fairly fierce crowd behind you,
I
the
mean,
Egyptians.
there's some stories, isn't there?
I'm sure some of the... I mean, the thing is, at the big PSA level, it's not really going to happen. You've got cameras, you've got heaps of officials.
Well, not
Like,
now. Not now.
No.
I mean, in the olden days, there's like an old clip from the 2000s on YouTube for there'll be people that know what I'm talking about, but Jonathan Power and Anthony Ricketts used to
yep.
come to blows all the time. There's a retro video on YouTube of
I'll have to look
I
at
think Ricketts or Power has the racket poking at him at the other player, trying to keep him away, and he's sort of poking him away, like, stay away from me. So it's a bit of humour.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, maybe challenger level you could get away with it a little bit, but even then you've still got people with camera phones. But certainly at the big PSA tournaments now, so many people watching, you really wouldn't
Can't
wanna
get away with much
do that.
these days.
I can recall on the tennis tour, working on the tennis tour around the world, there was a few occasions that players had to be separated in the locker rooms. That was interesting, very interesting, and one of them in the court that we have to physically hold back.
I remember seeing that clip of, I forget his name, very long last name, but he broke about 8 rackets at the Australian Open.
There'll be Marcos Bagdatis
Yes,
from the Greek
yes.
Cypriot.
That's-
He didn't even take them out of the plastic bag.
No, he just broke them.
Yeah, there's a few, and then you had Goran Ivanisevic, who broke all of his rackets, then had to borrow a racket from his opponent to finish the match. Not quite the same in squash when it comes to breaking
You
rackets.
really don't see many people breaking rackets in squash, certainly not at the pro level, in my experience.
Well,
although-
Elijah almost took a chip out of his racket a couple of times in the last game.
Yeah, on the sidewall. Definitely a lot of broken frames in the sidewalls. There was a incident not too long ago, I think it was at the World Champs, a guy by the name of George Parker, top 50 in the world,
Yes.
broke a racket on his knee after losing
Oh,
on his knee, so the leg came up, the racket went down, and there it was in two. Actually pretty cool to see.
a Russian tennis player, Mikhail Yuzhny, who was in the top 10, he smashed the racket on his head so hard that he started bleeding.
I think I've seen a clip of that somewhere, actually.
Just staying in.
So the pressure's on Timwa here. He was the winner last week. Oh, great shot.
Nice shot.
Almost Gawad-like. Big swing, and then all of a sudden stops his swing at the last minute, just softening the ball into that corner.
I mean, Elijah Thomas wasn't that far away. But
No, it's just
something
so
like
hard
that.
to read that, isn't it? Yeah. That jolting movement.
And a few comments coming through from viewers about breaking rackets. Al Tayyib breaking a racket on her calf. That's not very good.
I haven't seen much of it in the women's game.
No.
Must have missed that
There's a
one.
few that don't talk to each other afterwards, but
Oh, of
we certainly
course.
know about that.
So Timwa's got to find a way back into this match. Definitely a bit of scoreboard pressure from the both of them,
Nice.
for the both of them now. Timwa winning last week. Elijah, the higher ranked player, now 2-1 up. So pressure on both sides. Be interesting to see how they respond now.
And they've both had games in this particular match where they've led and played well.
Yeah, both been
that's
on
what
the
we wanted to see.
both been on the receiving end of some pretty gnarly rallies.
Now that's what we wanted to see from Elijah. Get in that position and see if you've got the strength and the power to actually put it away.
And again, just that tidy up in the front. I've seen that quite often from Elijah. Timwa's got to find some length though now and make this match as hard as possible for Elijah.
Using the backhand side.
There it is again,
Off the wall.
opting for the
Nice play.
post.
Couple of bows.
The
think he
screams
knew it
of
though.
desperation
I
there.
think he knew it.
Yeah. He knew it, but he didn't want to accept it, I think.
Yeah. The way of running coming back out of that corner was at Talisi, but then it had to go around him as well.
I think
I want to see it on replay.
what people have to remember is in those situations, you can play the ball whenever you want to.
Yeah.
So Tim waited.
So both players playing the decision with
Yeah,
it.
exactly. It's good squash from these two, though, both putting each other into each corner.
Nice.
Again, the counter drop from Elijah. And it's that pattern time and time again in this match that's worked in his favour. The straight counter drop.
Tim trying to get that one on the full as it went past, and it would have been very successful if he had of.
Always hungry for that forehand volley.
Nice.
Elijah's doing well here.
Oh! You got it?
Well, putting his body on the line there, Elijah. The referee feeling he's just a little bit too far away from the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was having to move, but if you have to dive like that,
Yeah, it's an indication you're coming from a long way away.
yeah. All right, so we are in for a real battle. Remember that Elijah Thomas is up by 2-1. Whoever wins this will play you, Joel, in the final.
Yeah.
So you're quite happy if they play 5 games there.
Very happy if it goes to 5. Also good to watch this squash.
Yeah.
It's really entertaining. It's been a while since I know I've watched a match like this, especially live. So very entertaining. Definitely been all corner squash from these two. And that right there is a good example of the ball popping back at him off the volley, trying to take it early. Right idea, but ball landing back at his feet.
So if anybody has any thoughts on this match so far, please feel free. It's been entertaining, been a good match. Elijah using that lob well.
Some quality work down the backhand. There it is. It's a counter drop. It's a pattern again. That must be very frustrating for Timwa at the moment, that pattern.
He worked himself really well, but he's still left a little bit of space there for Elijah to
Just seems like any room for the opportunity, Elijah takes it on that backhand straight drop.
And there.
And again, Timwa, I think, just leaving the ball a little too loose too often at the front.
Actually, he did that last night as well against Jack Condor, where he was playing very well, but then became a little bit. Well, to my mind, it looks as though Tim was close enough to play it.
The argument is Elijah out of the way? Is there enough room to play? Definitely one of those ones where both the players have complete opposite opinions. One feeling like they're making a huge effort to get out of the way, one feeling like there's no way for them to hit the ball. So
yeah. Well, I mean, could Elijah have even got out of the way after playing anyway? Nice shot. Nice running. Isn't it interesting? Yesterday, hardly any calls from the players. Today, as it gets a bit more tense,
yeah,
a few more.
Definitely. And this match being quite open, you know, a lot of balls going deep into each corner. Elijah bringing up that 2-point lead now, again with that straight counter drop.
It seems that he's worked a plan. Or planned to a plan against Tim.
A noticeable game plan for sure. I think Tim has got the right game plan as well. It's just the execution for him.
Nice. Oh, that's
He's got it. Definitely got that.
He's taking his skin off himself there, Elijah. It just seems a bit tight, which is understandable considering he's just dived all over the court.
Tough to be on the receiving end of a rally like that. But he does have a 2-point cushion.
Yeah. Well, that's
Still.
important. Let's see what, under pressure, what Timwa can do here. Is he going to go high on the serve? Yes.
Oh, great hold.
Yeah, well played.
Onto that one early and just holding his position well and then straightening the ball. Just see Elijah sink back to his heels and then seeing the ball run past him.
So still 1 point to catch up and make it equal. So the discussion's coming thick and fast with the referee. No one wants to lose this one. And Elijah Thomas
Feel a
very
bit of
fired up.
tension, yeah, for sure. A lot of fist pumps today. It's good to see.
Yeah, I love it. There should be more. Well, there
Here we
is.
go again on this backhand.
And well played.
Team were winning at that time. Very tense on that backhand.
Exactly. But on that last one, he was able to just drop it in short a little bit, so it wasn't going to come back
Yeah.
enough.
Just fading it into the wall. But these boys, you can feel the tension in the air at the moment.
That's great. I love it.
It's good to feel that again. This is why we play. Oh,
Oh, nice shot.
And down, teenage ball. I stopped him because he was right there, he was ready to play.
well, we've seen those given us no lets before.
Well, you should have heard the official with the explanation.
Certainly a tough call for this stage of the match.
Oh, and there we go. Well done to Elijah Thomas, winning in 4 games. And there will be a different finalist tomorrow. You'll be taking on Elijah Thomas there,
Yep.
Joel. Surprise? Or not really too much of a surprise?
Not really too much of a surprise, but kind of unexpected, yeah. But that was definitely a decent match. He's played
Yep.
well this tournament compared to last week.
Yeah,
Very-
you
very
see a
tidy
marked improvement there from his play, and a little bit more determination perhaps last week.
Yeah,
was-
massively. I think it's pretty visible watching just how fired up he is. So it'll be a good contest, I'm sure.
Well, that's the thing. A few question marks about whether that was a stroke or not. But when you're that close to the front wall, and you're that close to each other, yeah,
I mean, it's tough. I think again, like I said yesterday, you sort of need the sky view on that one just to see how short that ball stays. Because it definitely was a little bit shorter than what it can look, especially when you're right behind the players.
yeah.
So yeah, a tough call at that time of the match, but that's squash at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's credit to Elijah Thomas for winning in 4. Entertaining game, and we've had 4 entertaining games today. And tomorrow, well, from 3 p.m. New Zealand time will be the plate, the consolation, the 3rd and 4th, and then you'll take on Elijah Thomas, and that will be around about 5:15 New Zealand time. So tune in for that on PSA YouTube, and thank you very much there, Joel Ascott, and thank you very much to Heather Finlay, officials, and also to John Duggan and all the players for this week 2 of the Unsquashable Premier League at Squash XL.
The last one? Well, it's just, he had his record right there.
I'm just telling you what I think.
No, that's right, and I'm telling you why I called
But
it.
yeah, I mean,
I don't know why
no, I
it's
mean
done.
otherwise no.
He just happened to have his record right there. It's just unfortunate.